The hardest thing to tell a competitor is that it's time to stop competing. But sometimes the benefit of continuing to play doesn't outweigh the risk associated with it, especially in the sport of football. Now, Tua has achieved more than 99.99% of athletes ever will. He won it all at the highest level of college football at Alabama and has become a household name at the highest level of football in general, being a quarterback in the NFL. But after another traumatic injury last night against the Bills, and once again, it being to his brain and head area, man, it's probably time to hang this thing up. This will ultimately be his decision, and it should be. But life is about more than sports at the end of the day. It's about being around to enjoy all the little and big things that life has to offer, whether it be with family or whether it be with friends. It's about having a quality of life that doesn't prevent you from enjoying the spoils of all you have worked for and achieved. And with the advances in medicine and technology, we know what football does to your brain over time, especially at this level. It turns young people into old people rapidly, both mentally and physically. It turns sharp people into unrecognizable tantrum-throwing individuals who sometimes, unfortunately, commit heinous acts to themselves and others. To put it plainly, it just isn't worth it. Tua's accomplished so much, and this doesn't make him soft, it makes him smart. He's used his platform to help people, and now it's time to help himself. My father didn't play nearly as long in the league as Tua did, but I still remember watching him struggle to even get out of bed because his body was so badly beat up. I watched him deteriorate mentally and use unhealthy means to cope with the pain. There's no telling how far along the damage already is for Tua and what the repercussions will already be, even if he stops playing today. Only he can decide. He's a grown man. But for the sake of not only himself, but for the people around him, I hope he hangs it up. Because there are other ways to compete. But if you aren't around at all, there is no competition, only despair. I'm going to bring in co-host former Michigan quarterback David Cohn. And on a lighter note, it's Friday.
Weird transition.
Yeah, on a lighter note.
It's a dragon!
Yeah, talk about people. Yeah, talk about mental sharpness. This guy thinks he's a dragon.
Perfection.
What's the over?
We're going for perfection.
Let's go.
Wait, it's
I'm
a
back
zero.
in town.
It's 0.5.
I'm back in town. Let's
Really?
go.
One mistake.
All right. If you don't know, if you just joined us, welcome in. Hit that subscribe button. Thanks for hopping on. We cannot say his legal name. We only can refer to him as Flaming Dragon, or my personal favorite, Flaming. David, back to a serious note, though. Again, tough segue here. Tua, if you're with him right now, I know there's discussion. Antonio Pierce has come out and told ESPN if he was the coach, he'd be like, dude, you need to retire. Where are you at right now?
First off, prayers up for Tua, and him getting hit by DeMar Hamlin. That's a perfect indication of everything that 2024
irony
represents. Yeah. I think feels a little bit like deja vu, right? Wasn't it 2 years ago we were sitting on the set saying the same thing? Like, it's time for Tua to retire. The people closest to him need to talk to him. Then he comes out last year and throws for 4,600 yards and 26 touchdowns. Man, I was so happy for him. Stayed healthy the entire season. Still one of my favorite players to come through college. One of the best slant ball throwers that I've ever seen in my life. In terms of should the people near him, his family and the coaches, should they get around and talk to him and talk him out of playing football? I think that only depends on what the medical professionals say. Like, the family should talk to him only if the medical professionals come and say, Tua, you're going to do long-term damage to your body if you continue to play, and he refuses. Maybe that's where the family should step in, because I'm assuming that not everyone in his family are medical professionals and know what's best. I will say this, though. This is a violent sport. Not just physical. It's not a contact sport. I've had a doctor tell me one time, football's not a contact sport. Football is a collision sport. This is a violent game. All of us who have played it in any capacity will suffer from some sort of consequences for our entire lives. You don't need to have played professionally, but you talked about your father. I see my father-in-law. I see what 11 years in the league did to him, and that was when men were playing, and that's when the game was as violent and physical as it could be. I want to make sure that we don't soften the game up over time just so people can play professionally for longer. That's not the point of the game. I understand it's difficult to see that sometimes when you're using the game to provide for your family. And the last thing I want to talk about is just the identity. For a lot of us, myself included, playing football, being a football player was part of my identity. Mm-hmm. So when you're no longer a football player, a big part of your identity is gone, man, and it hurts. And I was lost for a while with that. I encourage everyone listening, this isn't so much for Tua as it is for a lot of young people who really want to play the sport and grow with the sport. You know, don't tie your identity to being a football player. Use it to have more success in life in the long run of life. Use everything that the game offers so that you can have even a more successful life. The discipline that comes with the game, learning punctuality, learning how to be a good teammate, learning how to win and lose with the same sort of confidence and with the same professionalism. That's what's so great about the game, not necessarily having a 15-year career where you can be a multimillionaire.
Very well said. Flamin' Dragon, if this was the first time you get knocked out or, it's scary and you do get worried, but I almost feel like this is kind of an anomaly. Tua threw a game-winning touchdown pass in a national championship game. He's been a starting quarterback in the NFL. But when you say Tua Tagovailoa, you know what most people think of? Catastrophic injuries.
Yeah, and it sucks because watching him, for one, Tua is just a phenomenal guy.
Yeah.
In general, I mean, if you look at Tua, that you hardly never see not see a smile on the guy's face. Watch him in Alabama, his career has been phenomenal. But life's more important than football. Like, I promise you right now. And I know with the money that comes along with football, you want to take care of your family and all this, but I promise you right now.
He can do that.
Yeah, I would rather have my father than a bunch of money. And I think at this point, Tua, and I think if the NFL has to step in, they need to, buddy. It's time. Your brain's not going to be getting better if you keep getting hit like this. Like, you can talk about identity all you want. It's going to get to the point to where you're not going to know who you are. Like, I've seen this with my eyes. It's not a funny thing. It's not a game, buddy. This is your life. Football is here, and your life is here, and so is your family. You want to have these memories growing up of seeing your kids, your nieces, your nephews, and sooner or later, man, it sucks, and we all know it, and we hate to see it for you, but you got to hang it up.
Yeah, and I agree with 90% of what you said. I just want to make sure people understand. I'm saying that this is his decision to me.
Yeah.
I don't think the NFL should tell him. His family's going to. He is a grown man. I am a firm believer in the individual gets to decide that individual's fate. And so I want to make sure it's going to be his decision. But I feel like Tua is a smart enough guy to know the people who really care about him, the people who want what's best for him. And when they tell him what they truly feel, and again, I'm not speaking as if I know any of his family members or anything, but I know what I would say if it was you.
Yeah.
And this was on here. I know what you would say if it was me. I'd come and sit down in the room and say, I'd shut the door and be like, well, either one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to hang this up or you're going to have to really, really explain to me why I'm going to sit here and just keep watching you do this to yourself. And then we see all these awful stories of guys that get done playing in the NFL and just something crazy happens. And then we see stories of guys who play a little bit in the NFL and have success. You look at a guy like Andrew Luck. It's like, you know what, man, I'm done with this. And it's just it's a tough situation, man. I don't wish it on anybody. We want to play the clip of this hit. And you can just see, and the arms will always tell you when it's especially awful when it comes down to concussions. Watch Tua's arms, and this is like a replay of it. We've seen this happen to him before. Let's go and run this clip of the game last night, 4th and 4, when Tua, went down. Let's play it.
You're down by 21 points, 4th and 4. Pressure. Tua steps up. He's going to run for the first down. And takes a shot at the 6-yard line. Hamlin hit him. And Tua down.
God. And you know what? It wasn't like, that wasn't dirty by DeMar.
Oh.
That wasn't a leading and a trying to really take a guy out. You got caught in a bad spot. And when you get concussed, and doctors will tell you this, it increases your likelihood of getting more and more and more and more. And just in this sport, I just don't know how you're going to be able to continue at this rate and expect to be anything close to functional as you get older. So prayers up for Tua, man, and I hope, they figure it out and make the decision that's best for them. But I think I know what I'd decide. Hey, what's up, YouTube? Appreciate you guys. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We really appreciate it.